There's incredible sadness in discovering the so-called hidden history of Asian Buddhists. For myself, I want to make a deep commitment, and I have made a deep commitment to creating community, like genuine, authentic community with Asian American Buddhists. I really want to push forward this wonderful feeling that when you come together as a community, and I really did suffer a lot in the past with trying to be white, because that never works. There's no authentic connection that happens when you try to do that. Authentic community in some ways has to be kind of goalless, or no hope, no fear. Just sort of the most important thing is to make a connection, make an authentic commitment to each other, and then whatever problems arises, you're here for each other and you can deal with it together. The biggest problems that we don't even know exist to each other, just to found each other through the power of technology, which can often divide us, but in this singular moment, it is so useful to sort of empower everyone involved.
I don't speak enough Chinese to engage with philosophical concepts, and so my entry into Buddhism is through these Western texts that are in English.
You just asked a question in a chat, a very kind question about how African Americans can offer help. But there is a need to get more visibility and more voice opportunities to and for Asian American Buddhists. Very much encouraged that we try to help to make the conditions happen.
One of the reasons I wrote the book was to give power to the powerless, especially the Buddhist immigrant. Most of the scholar likes it, but white Buddhists don't. They hate me. They thought I was Buddhist originally. They said all kind of bad things about me, and then they found out my priest. But he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's Christian priest. What does he know about Buddhism?
Hey everyone, my name is Katie Lonk. I'm one of the co-directors with the Buddhist Peace Fellowship. I'm really delighted and honored to get to hear Funie's presentation and see the slides. I hope that this becomes 101 for every American Buddhist introductory conversation, and it would have been really helpful. I wish I had had access to this then when I started, especially in a POC Sangha. Really appreciate about how you frame this is and what you said, this shouldn't be controversial, but Buddhism is an Asian indigenous spirituality, an Asian indigenous religion. Framing it that way for me has really informed how I've been thinking about it lately, and also with the American Indian Religious Freedom Act of 1978, I've just been thinking about ways in which, as we try to decolonize and undo some of the harms of colonization, what does it mean to really dig into that work, the practices that have been banned and criminalized that are part of cultural and religious practice and expression and being.
My name is Antoine. There was a lot of information. We didn't have a lot of people of color in our program. This is the Buddhist Chaplaincy, Buddhist Divinity program, and we have people of color, but these were mostly international students, and so they have a different context of the Asian American experience.
My name is Anne, and I'm located in the San Francisco Bay Area, and am involved with practice communities through Spirit Rock Meditation Center in Woodacre, California, and now getting involved with the East Bay Meditation Center in Oakland. I'm at the point where I am re-entering my political social activism work in communities of color, wanting to be speech of support to other people of color who are practicing or want to practice Buddhism. But I am also pushing forward with trying to find co-created shared space with people of color allies so that we can start building a bridge and moving forward from the awkwardness that people feel, or the uncertainty or the ignorance, and moving us closer to actual steps that would aid in liberation for everybody.
I'm just a student at the Village Zendo. I've been helping to organize some workshops and programming in the community. And I'm here because even as we attempt to organize these workshops and talk about racism in our practice more, this question does not come up. This entire narrative does not come up. Do you remember email conversations sharing some of the articles that were published in Buddhist Peace Fellowship, provoking some angry reactions. I kind of been thinking of what's next and what projects to undertake in the community. I want to try to put my mind to this more and see what connections we can make to other communities in the neighborhood that we reside, and how we can lift up the voices of practitioners in our Sangha and in other Sanghas.
I'm a 75-year-old white American, recently converted to some, I would say, sort of a watered-down version of Buddhism, perhaps. In the 5 or so years that I have been exploring Buddhism, I've been increasingly and painfully aware that most of the authorities that I have come in contact with, and most of the leaders that I have come in contact with, are like me. They are white Americans, many middle-aged or old white Americans, many far too many men, too few women. So I came here really just to listen and to learn, and to hope to be able to take something back from this experience to my own practice and to the groups that I do participate in here. I am in Ventura, California, which is up the coast from Los Angeles. I appreciate the opportunity to listen, and I thank all of you for your contributions.
For those of us who are asking and who have asked how we can support each other on the path to liberation for everyone, I really appreciate David for taking already one of the important steps, being here, being present, and listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Guoqing, and thank Dr. Hsu for providing this space for us to actually talk about this and come together. Thank you for offering North American Buddhist Alliance as a space for Pan-Asian Buddhist dialogue. And that's the thing that really strikes me as expanding this conversation to wider groups, both Asian and non-Asian. I really appreciate being able to have this conversation here. And I hope that there is some way that a Google group or whatever, some way where we can actually continue to have this conversation and keep it going. What can non-Asians do to be an ally in this situation? And it's funny because I feel like an Asian American here, especially in Detroit, I feel like I'm usually on the other side of this conversation, where because so much of the issue in my community tends to be about sort of this conversation between black and white identity. For me, as a Chinese American who is in a position of relative privilege with a lot of other social issues, I'm often asking myself, how can I be an ally? Even just being here and just listening. People belonging to the dominant culture still control the platforms and still control the media. Helping persons of color or Asian American Buddhists or whatever develop their own platforms, I think, is something that is very important.